there. Very good evening and a warm welcome to the news live on Rupavahini. I'm Sharon Mascarenes.
And I'm Coming up, your top stories.
The President says benefits reaped at the UN General Assembly will pay way for a safer Sri Lanka. The Premier emphasises there is no secret document to amend the Customs Ordinance. The Work to Rule campaign of Customs Trade Union Alliance called off. Prices of 47 essential drugs to be reduced. Police stoned at Gorna Pinuala. Medical 2016 exhibition commences. Syrian army launch operations to liberate Aleppo.
Our lead story this evening. President Maithripala Sirisena says the benefit reaped at the United Nations General Assembly will pay way for a safer Sri Lanka. The President points out the positive attitude of the powerful nations towards Sri Lanka is a clear indication of the progress the country has achieved within 2 years. President Maithripala Sirisena stated this while addressing journalists in New York. The 71st General Assembly of the United Nations commenced in New York on the 20th of this month under the theme A Global Approach for Sustainable Development. More than 190 member countries attended the General Assembly. United Nations General Secretary Ban Ki-moon, who made the welcome address, also mentioned about Sri Lanka. He pointed out that at a time when many conflicts are reported throughout the world, Sri Lanka and Myanmar have made positive strides. US President Barack Obama, who met President Maithripala Sirisena on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, expressed his pleasure over the transformation Sri Lanka is going through. The President also met Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and Indian State Minister of Foreign Affairs M.K. Advar on the same day. The President said that Sri Lanka received an improved standing and recognition on the global platform in comparison to last year. All the leaders were impressed with the government's initiatives. The President said he feels privileged to attend this global event for the second consecutive year. He also expressed belief that the benefits reaped at the General Assembly would help the country to overcome the economic crisis it has faced and to develop every sector. President Maithripala Sirisena further pointed out that this clearly shows that the international community is only concerned about the policies maintained and not about the persons behind it. Therefore, the President stated, if good policies are maintained, it will be accepted by both the country and the international community.
මම ඉමහත් වාග්යක් කොටයි සලකන්නේ.
මේනකොට ඇමරිකානු ජනාධිපතිතුමා අතර සහ බැං කි මූන් මහත්මයා අතර බතර විශේෂ සම්බන්ධතාවයන් හිතවත්කම් ගොඩනැගලා තියෙනවා. අපි ඒක දකිනවා. 72 වෙනි එක ඔබතුමා පැමිණෙනකොට මේ නායකයෝ දෙදෙනාම වෙනස් වෙනවා. ඒතර අලුතෙන් එන නායකයන් සමග අපිට මේ සම්බන්ධය පවත්වාගෙන යෑමට ගැටලු වෙන ඇති වෙයිද? කොහොමද ඊට මුහුණ දෙන්නේ?
නෑ ඔය සියල්ලෙදිම තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය කාරණා. පුජ්‍යල කාරණා නෙවෙයි. ඒක නිසා ප්‍රතිපත්තිය තුල තමයි ඔය සහයෝගීතාවය සාර්ථක වෙන්නේ වගේම ඒ සහයෝගීතාවයන් ඈත් වෙන්නේ සහ බිඳෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා අපි ගෙනියන ප්‍රතිපත්තිය පැහැදිලි නම් ඒක හොඳයි කියලා අපේ රටේ ජනතාවට වගේම ලෝකයට පේනවා නම් ඒ පිළිගැනීමේ කිසිදු ගැටලුවක් ඇති වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Minister Mangala Samaraweera said Sri Lanka was isolated from the world a couple of years back. However, the country was able to receive international recognition once more after the victory achieved on the 8th of January.
මේ වතාවෙත් යලි වතාවක් ලංකාවට තියෙන ජනාධිපතිතුමාට තියෙන පිළිගැනීම අපිට ඉහළින්ම දකින්නට ලැබුණා.
ඒ වගේම ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයින්ට ආඩම්බර වෙන්න පුළුවන් අපේ රාජ්‍ය නායකයා. රට තුලදී
Minister Ganta Karunatilaka said the President only talks about his policies both on local and global platforms. At the 71st General Assembly, the President emphasised he expects the support of the international community under a vision unique to the country. Sri Lanka is now engaged in a journey working together based on policies under the leadership of President Maithripala Sirisena.
Sri Lanka co-hosted a pledging conference at the United Nations headquarters in New York recently. It was held with the objective of refinancing the UN Secretary-General's Peace Building Fund. Sri Lanka, together with Kenya, Mexico and the Netherlands, Somalia, Sweden, Republic of Korea and the UK co-hosted the event. The conference was able to generate pledges from 30 countries amounting to a sum of $152 million to support UN peace-building efforts across the globe. Minister Mangala Samaravira chaired one of the segments and delivered closing remarks on behalf of the co-hosts. In his statement, the minister pointed out that since the creation of the fund in the year 2006, it had come to the assistance of many countries emerging from conflict.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasises there is no secret document to amend the customs ordinance. Speaking at the Parliament today, he stated discussions will be held with all parties before the relevant act is amended. Parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardene said the matter could have been easily addressed if the committee appointed to prepare a new customs ordinance secretly is dissolved and discussions are held with the relevant parties. He also pointed out measures such as asking retired custom officers to report to work has worsened the problem.
දැනටමත් රේගු දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව අකුරට වැඩ කිරීමෙන් අනහිටන තත්ත්වයකට ගරු කතානායකතුමා වැටලා තියෙනවා. රටේ ප්‍රධාන ආදායම් මාර්ගයක් සොයන තැනක් රහසිගතව රේගු ආදායම් 50ක්.
In response, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has stated the government has no intention of preparing a new customs ordinance secretly. Discussions are being held regarding the document that has been presented. The customs ordinance is a very old document. It will be amended after holding discussions with the relevant parties. Furthermore, the matter will be discussed at the Working Committee of the Parliament.
The Joint Trade Union Alliance of the Customs ended their Work to Rule campaign today, which commenced on Thursday. They had reached this decision after a statement was issued by the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in this regard in Parliament today. The Joint Trade Union Alliance of the Customs informed this by convening a media briefing in Colombo today. Convener of the Joint Trade Union Alliance of the Customs, Sudat Silva, said the officials have agreed to make the amendments based on the present customs ordinance. The second demand of the alliance was to hold a discussion with the participation of all interested parties. The government has agreed to that as well. Therefore, a discussion will be held with the Minister of Finance, Sudat Silva, and therefore it's considering these developments the alliance decided to end the Work to Rule campaign.
මේ කරුණු තුනම සලකලා බලලා අපි තීන්දුවක් කරගත්තා ඒකාබද්ධ වෘත්ති සමිති සම්දානය අපේ අකුරට වැඩ කිරීමේ ව්‍යාපාරය අත්හිටවන්න.
Director General of the Customs, Chulananda Pereira, expressed the following views to the media regarding this matter. He told journalists the trade unions have informed him that they will not engage in a trade union action again if their demands are met. Therefore, the Customs DG stated that he would like to inform investors and businessmen that the trade union action has been called off.
Minister of Health, Dr. Rajitha Senaratne says prices of 47 essential drugs are to be reduced soon. Taking part in the ceremony to commemorate Professor Seneka Bibile today, the minister disclosed, therefore, prices of 50 drugs will go down. The event was held at Sri Lanka Foundation Institute. It was organised by the State Pharmaceutical Corporation. As the first chairman of the corporation, Professor Seneka Bibile rendered an immense service to implement the national drugs policy. The commemorative lecture was delivered by Professor Priyadarshini Galapathy of the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Colombo. Chairman of the National Drug Regulatory Authority, Professor Asitha De Silva, elaborated on how the drug prices will go down. Under the first phase, prices of several drugs, including the ones given to cardio and diabetes patients, are to be reduced. Addressing the gathering, Minister Rajitha Senaratne disclosed the list of drugs which the prices have been reduced will be announced through a Gazette notification soon. Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne said this is another victory achieved by the government with the support of the people. The best way to commemorate iconic figures such as Seneka Bibile is to put his policies into action. No other thing will be eternal. It would help the future generations to remember him in the coming decades as well.
සේනක බිබිලේගේ ගුණානුස්මරණය කරන්නට පුළුවන් හොඳම ක්‍රමය තමයි ඔහුගේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ක්‍රියාදාමයක් බවට පත් කරන්න. වෙන කිසිම විදියකට මොවුන් සදාතනික වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එදාට සේනක බිබිලේ මාචාර්යවරයා සදාතනිකව මේ රටේ හැම තව සතවර්ෂයක් ගියත් මිනිස්සු අනුස්මරණය කරයි. අද තියෙන මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ඔක්කොගෙම මූලාරම්භය ඒකට අපිට අවශ්‍ය න්‍යාය ධර්මය ඒකට අපිට අවශ්‍ය ඒ දැක්ම අපිට අවශ්‍ය ආත්ම ශක්තිය මේ සියල්ල ලබා දුන්නේ 1970 දශකයේ මේ ජීවත් වූ මේ මහා වීරෝදාර වෛද්‍යවරයාගේ.
Awarding scholarships to 6 university students also took place on the occasion. Mementos were presented as well to employees who have completed a service of more than 20 years at the State Pharmaceutical Corporation. A group of officials of the corporation, including its chairman, Attorney at Law Sarat Linege, were also present.
A tense situation arose during a protest held at the Gonapinuwala junction along the Hikkadua Baddegama road this afternoon. It was held against bailing out a motorist who was involved in a deadly accident that killed 2 persons. The driver was under the influence of liquor at the time of the incident, and it is reported that he did not have a driving license as well. 1 person was killed, while another was seriously injured from the accident that occurred near the Saralankara Vidyalaya, situated along the Hikkadua Baddegama road last Saturday night. A motor car and a bicycle was involved in the accident. One of the 2 persons who travelled on the bike died on the spot. The other person who was seriously injured was admitted to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital. It was later reported that the driver of the car did not have a driving licence and was under the influence of liquor. He was arrested by the Telikada police. Our correspondent said the suspect was released on bail after he was produced before the Baddegama Magistrate Court. Meanwhile, the other person who was seriously injured died today. The residents staged a protest at the Gonapinuwala junction this afternoon, expressing their displeasure over the release of the driver. A tense situation rose subsequently. The protesters accused that the Telikada police has misled the court by not providing adequate information. They even stoned the police. Meanwhile, the driver of the motor car was produced before the court again over the death of the other person. The police informed the court about the protesters as well. The Baddegama Magistrate Court ordered the driver to be remanded till the 5th of next month.
The MedCal 2016 exhibition, organised by the Medical Faculty of the University of Kelaniya, commenced today. Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation is the official media partner of the event. Nearly 70 stalls are open for public at the MedCal 2016 exhibition. In addition to medical matters, the exhibition also provides an insight into how modern technology can be used for education.
The Asian Development Bank is to help Sri Lanka prepare studies and designs for new road, railway and port projects. The main objective of this initiative is to make Sri Lanka's transport system in well placed to support the economic growth in the medium term. Senior transport specialist in ADB's South Asia Department, Chen Chen, said the transport network needs to be better serve the towns and the cities where new economic activities are being established. Roads and an emerging expressway network are the dominant mode of transportation in Sri Lanka and accounting for 93% of passengers transport and 96% of freight transport. With $24.42 million in ADB technical assistance, the Road Development Authority will formulate an expressway development program and prepare priority projects.
Another group of 76 Sri Lankan Tamil refugees in Tamil Nadu is scheduled to arrive in the island under the UNHCR-facilitated voluntary repatriation program. The refugees will arrive in 2 batches on Thursday. One batch will be consisting of 41 persons, while the other will be comprised of 35 persons. They are returning to Sri Lanka as a result of the discussion held between Minister D.M. Swaminathan and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Secretary of the Ministry of Prison Reform, Rehabilitation, Resettlement and Hindu Religious Affairs, V. Shivanana Sothi, says the returnees will resettle at Vaunia, Mana, Mulathiv, Trincomalee, Jaffna and Mathili. The UNHCR will provide free air tickets, reintegration allowance of $75 per person, a transport allowance of $19 and monetary non-food grant of $75 per family.
Well, a large number of crowds visited the Colombo International Book Fair for the 8th consecutive day today. A special discount is awarded for every purchase of book.
Now it's time to have a look around Asia with Asia in a minute.
Normal life remains disturbed in parts of India's Kashmir as curfew and shutdown continues for an unprecedented 77th day. Al-Qaeda-linked Islamist militants ran an Indonesian hostage in a remote southern Philippine island. A powerful 6.4 magnitude earthquake rocked Japan some 230 kilometers southeast of the country's capital Tokyo at a depth of 10 kilometers yesterday night. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met the Indian athletes who took part in the Rio Paralympic Games, including the 4 medalists, and applauded them for making the country proud with their achievements. A documentary film festival about the world's most famous demilitarized zone has opened in South Korea.
Deputy Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna says that it has been decided to establish an interconnected database of 16 out of 842 institutes that are probed by the Committee on Public Accounts. He made this disclosure while addressing a media briefing held at the Parliamentary Auditorium today. Chairman of the Committee of Public Accounts, Deputy Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna said that a proper computer database is not maintained by institutes such as Inland Revenue Department, Sri Lanka Customs, the Department of Excise, Motor Traffic Department, that accounts for about 75% of state revenue. Therefore, he pointed out curbing the frauds and corruptions as well as losing state revenue is unpreventable. There is a need of creating an interconnected database between 16 institutes identified by the Committee of Public Accounts.
A ceremony to introduce a new GPS system for surveyors and valuation officers was held in Colombo today. The new GPS system will be able to provide accurate information on a location. The information in this regard will be uploaded to the website of the SL Course Net via the Surveyors Department after it is collected by the Bhumitech Institute. Location information of the Western Province can be obtained at present. It will be free for 3 months from today. The website in this regard was launched by Surveyor General PMP Udayakanta. The Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka handed over the administration of the website to the Director General of the Surveyors Department.
An extensive supply of submitted under the
The Director General of Health Services, Dr. Palitha Maipala, says that the Ministry of Health is to provide free treatment to persons infected with HIV. He made this disclosure while addressing a media briefing held in Colombo today to enlighten journalists on AIDS. The method followed so far was to treat the persons acute with the virus. However, a program has now been implemented under the instructions of the Health Minister to treat every person infected with the disease. Therefore, treatment will be available for them at 30 centres throughout the island and 22 mobile clinics. The number of infected persons with HIV in Sri Lanka currently stands at 2,436. It is a lower level compared to the other countries of the South Asian region. According to the health data, 33.7 million persons infected with HIV were reported in the year 2015. The number of persons died from the virus is 1.1 million. The best way to prevent the disease is to avoid unprotected sex. The Ministry of Health has taken measures to educate the general public in this regard continuously and to hold clinics for target groups. A research report on measures taken to prevent the disease and using safer methods was also launched today. A group of persons, including health officials, were present at the occasion.
Sri Lankan ambassador to Indonesia, Darshana M. Pereira, called on the Speaker of the House of Representatives of Indonesia recently. The meeting took place at the Parliament building in Jakarta. The discussion focused on strengthening bilateral relations, including the legislature of Indonesia and Sri Lanka. Among the initiatives considered were the exchange of visits of the speakers, as well as establishment and interaction between the Indonesia-Sri Lanka parliamentary groups. Vice Speaker of Indonesia and other senior parliamentary officials were also present on the occasion.
And to bring you the trading details now, the all share price index closed at 6,479.21 points, increased by 14.27 points, and the S&P SL 20 index closed at 3,587.35 points, also increased by 8.14 points at the end of the trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today. Turnover was over 886 million rupees.
Welcome back. Now it's time to look at news from around the world. Now, warplanes have launched fresh airstrikes in Aleppo hours after Syria's government announced an offensive to retake rebel-held areas of the city. The Syrian and Russian planes were pounding eastern Aleppo, according to activists. A rescue worker described what was happening as annihilation. The government has urged people to avoid positions held by rebels. Russia has not confirmed its involvement. US-Russian talks to revive a collapsed truce have broken up without progress. Russia supports the Syrian government while the US backs the opposition. The two world powers accuse each other of failing to rein in their respective allies on the ground.
Here's more foreign news in brief. Yahoo says state-sponsored hackers stole information from about 500 million users in what appears to be the largest publicly disclosed cyber breach in history. The breach included swaths of personal information, including names and emails, as well as unencrypted security questions and answers. The hack took place in the year 2014, but has only now been made public. The FBI has confirmed it is investigating the claims. A police officer who fatally shot an unarmed black motorist in Oklahoma has been charged with manslaughter. The prosecutor has said this. Officer Betty Shelby shot and killed Terrence Crutcher last week while he was standing next to his broken-down car. In Charlotte, North Carolina, a curfew went into effect to prevent a third night of violence after a black man was shot dead by a black police officer. An evening concert was held yesterday to celebrate the end of a costly and lengthy restoration project of the iconic Spanish Steps. The concert, titled A Tribute to the Spanish Steps, was performed by the Orchestra Nacional de Santa Cecilia, conducted by Antonio Papano. The Spanish Steps will officially reopen to locals and tourists today. A king penguin chick hatched in Vienna's Schönbrunn Zoo 4 weeks ago has emerged from the folds of a protective parent's body. The zoo published pictures and a video footage yesterday of a little grey bird with its much larger and more brightly coloured parents. King penguins are the second biggest species of penguin after emperor penguins.
Time for sports. Now, the Australian women's cricket team won the one-day tournament held against Sri Lanka today. The third match of the 4-match series was played at the R. Premadasa Stadium. The Sri Lankan team, who batted first, was able to score 102 runs all out in 36.5 overs. Prasadini Virakodi top scored with 31. Jess Johnson bagged 3 wickets. The Australian team reached the target within 27.3 overs. Meanwhile, all-rounder Dilhara Lokuhettige, who represented the Sri Lankan cricket team, has decided to retire from one-day international cricket. Dilhara, who has played 9 one-day internationals for Sri Lanka, has bagged 6 wickets and has scored 83 runs. His final appearance in a one-day international was in July 2013. However, he will continue to play 2020 matches. Today is the first day of the 28th National Youth Sports Festival. The events are being held at the Vincent Dyers Ground in Badulla. A.M. Madhushankar, who represented Putlam district, was able to establish a new record in the shot put of the under-20 category. 37 sports events were held today. Today is the 4th day of the 2020 Murali Harmony Cup, organised for the 5th year. Former cricket captain Mahela Jayawardena was the special invitee yesterday. 23 teams will take part in the tournament that will be held till the 25th of this month. The matches are played in Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mullaitivu and Mankulam.
And here's your weather forecast. The Met Department says that strong winds at times can be expected to continue over the island and in the deep and shallow sea areas of the coast extending from Mannar to Pothuwil via Colombo to Galle. Merely fair weather will continue over most parts of the island. However, light showers may occur at a few places in the Sabaragamu and central provinces and in the Galle district as well.
And that's all from us at Rupavahini Channel English News. Thanks for watching.